This should be working. Yeah. Now just check on my phone. It's coming through. There we go. Okay. It's showing on the phone, that's good. Now, I could just put this somewhere. I can't see OBS at the moment. Let's drop it like here to remind me that I could be using a phone, which is far better than these keyboards. There we go. And yes, I'll get to this. Firstly, we do have the awful HP mouse, which is just not shaped for the hand at all. I mean, the ideal awful mouse would be one of those from a iMac G3, which is just like an actual circle and really poorly shaped. I mean, yeah, Apple just doesn't do mice all that well. But HP is also bad at making mice. As I've had this and I've had some other wireless ones, neither of them were actually that good feeling. That can go in the bin. And it actually already feels a bit better now. Now it's not got all that plastic on, but still. Yeah, I bought it cheap. Not good enough though, still. It is PS2, I mean that's the only advantage, that I can use it without taking up USB ports. Still, it's not worth what I had to lose for it. Yeah, that Microsoft one is a lot better. Anyway, here we have the story, where I've basically got, what's his name, Luke, insulting the main character who committed identity theft on someone from ABBA. And I really need this phone so I can look at if there's any comments, because I can't do that on the desktop. Also, I almost forgot I do have this timer site here, because I'm going to be forcing myself to torment myself for 30 minutes with each keyboard, maybe more, I don't know. Anyway, let's get going. So, first of all, I'm going to actually have to find where I was, so change of perspective. Yeah, I'm going to go and work from her perspective, because he's insane, I should say. Leaving is a better decision than staying around with a man who wants her dead. Naturally. You'd expect that, though. Yeah, he just, basically he believes everything he thinks or does is correct, even when it so obviously isn't. Still. Yeah, it actually has arrow keys, I mean, that's one advantage to this keyboard, but I chose this one as an awful keyboard because, well, it's flat and it has no key travel, and it's basically a cheap knockoff of an Apple keyboard, which I've never liked. It's actually, I don't know, maybe the other ones are worse. Who's to say? We've got to think of what to put. That said, he likely. I need to remember how to actually type. Follow us to the end of the world, because he feels it's his duty to pursue or seek, I don't know. Seek revenge upon an innocent girl. Trying to think of how to put what I've got next. Alright, admittedly, I'm not innocent. Not all that innocent. Yet compared to Luke's sins, I'd appear as an angel. An angelic deity. Sure, why not? I mean, it works. And yeah, it has defined deity, but it doesn't seem to acknowledge that I've spelled it correctly. I think I have. It didn't bring up any corrections. It just says it's wrong. I don't even know why it says it's wrong. There we go, and I think this machine's running. I'm just going to double check on my phone that it's not lagging horribly. You know what? It actually doesn't seem to be flowing that badly. Even though I'm running it from a 15-year-old Core 2 Duo, it's actually doing a decent job of things. I mean, it probably helps it's Linux, it's Zorin OS, not Windows, which I had to use this disk to install because for some bizarre reason it doesn't boot off a USB drive, and even in, say, 2009 or 8, whenever this board was first released, USB boot was very much a thing. I'd say for 2, maybe 3 years before that it had existed on various boards. I do have a lot of USB ports though. They're all around the back, but I have quite a few of them, 8 or something. So I have enough to plug all my terrible keyboards in. We have yes, so that's an Eihiku, which is actually a thing, but I mean, I might have to change that name again, but still, it's like some parody of Hatsune Miku, which she basically summoned to this world because she found this guitar that was meant for the hero, but she's a demon lord and somehow got that, and yeah, hilarity ensues. I thought of actually it was like supposed to be a kazoo because Luke can't play the guitar, so you know, it was supposed to be a guitar, but because it was her that encountered the event, it spawned as a guitar. I mean, just a heroic kazoo. It's kind of an idea. Was for sure better off with me than that psychopath. Yeah, basically, from what I've written up to this point, he is like obsessed with Miku, or what Hatsune Miku as it is in this case. Like really obsessed, as she saw in the last world, and she's like when she actually accidentally summons her, she's like, I have to protect this person. I can't let her fall into his hands because it's not fair on her. And yeah, being the hero, he actually has the hero complex, but I've also had this thing, I'm not sure if either he's lying or he just doesn't remember what happened, because he goes completely crazy and then he just pretends he was unconscious that whole time when it comes his time to tell his side of the story, which is like later on in the story naturally. We have yeah, and he goes calling her a fragile egoed person, although he applies more to himself. He's seen his own flaws in other people at this stage. So, I'm going to have to think here. Like, maybe he has the compulsion to be the hero, but he doesn't know what the hero is meant to do. So he's just guessing, and most of the time getting it wrong. I quite like that idea. And yes, I'm messing with my my CRT. And it was always bound to happen when... Yeah, he's also full of himself, faced with someone in possession. Basically, he took a gun before and tried to shoot her, but the ammo was fake, so he didn't get anywhere. Because the entire thing of this world, like, it was torn apart by these gun companies using the people to make money for themselves. Faced with someone... It was always bound to happen when she was faced with someone in possession of such incredible power levels. I could at least utilise this time which I was presented. This keyboard does not feel bad enough, honestly. With... I can't believe I'm saying this. Also, side note, this keyboard is awful. The backspace key doesn't work. The feet have been broken off. Well, one of them has. And it just decided it wasn't going to work, which is a shame. I would have loved to torture myself with that board. But no. It just gave up on life. At least this keyboard isn't a quitter. It works. I mean, I'm pretty sure I've had this for longer than I've had that keyboard for. And it's still going. Even if it is just like cheap generic internals. And check the YouTubes. Yeah, that's how it is. Wait, am I disconnected from the internet webs? No, I'm not. Because checking the comments when I'm disconnected wouldn't do anything. You could at least... Yes. In order to generate... Ooh, what if he used AI generated images to become like this supposedly brilliant artist? I'm trying to make him unlikable at this stage. I've also probably got my face popping into the side of the frame. My hideous misshapen face. I could at least use this time. Utilise this time which I was presented with in order to generate a... Oh, that's good. He doesn't think ahead, so he pulls his phone out and he's like, I'm gonna use AI, but then he's disconnected from the internet because this world has no internet. So he has a tantrum on the spot even though there's no one to see him. Speaking of which, I could... Yes. ChatGPT, but I need to, like, glorify it into something perhaps more chatty, something or other. Chat MP3. Yes. Chatty MP3. Well, no, maybe not chatty, just put chat MP3. I mean, you know, it's not a joke many people will get, but if you get it, it will be quite funny. I'm working out a comma. I could at least use this time, which I was presented with, in order to generate a scheme. Speaking of which, I could use chat MP3 to generate one for me. Or maybe I could have he has some offline version, and it works, but it comes up with like the most cliche thing ever, which would just make him look terrible, like in the face of his opponent, because he would like it would be like he just told a 10-year-old to write out his legend story, but they didn't really have much experience writing, so it just ended up being a repeat of what they'd seen in children's films. I mean, I think that would be pretty funny, to be honest. Because it doesn't have soul. So it's just going to present the most generic hero story ever. After all, I did have the offline version on my... I feel like I need to make a really ridiculous phone name, because some of them are ridiculous. Like, even my one, it's a Galaxy S20 Ultra, which is, in itself, not the most ridiculous name, but, you know, you already get the idea. They started piling words on, because it's, for a start, it's not even really a Galaxy S20. They just magically changed the names halfway through. It's actually more like an S10. But he needs something far more ridiculous. On my, yeah, I can use Universe instead of Galaxy. I mean, I think it's, like, recognisable enough, but different. My Sing Sing. Totally not Samsung. My Sing Sing. My Sing Sing Universe. Ultranium. Ultranium Mega Plus Plus. But they're actually like plus symbols. If I can find where the plus symbol is on this keyboard. I had to torment myself. Anyway. Should I put it... No. I think... I use single quotation marks if it's like the name of a product or something that you've pulled off a sign. But if it's someone speaking, I use kind of a double quotation marks. And why am I pointing there? Like, that whole thing is just blocked off because it's screen captured. You know, I am impressed, though, by what this little old machine is doing. I say little, it's actually quite big. But anyway, yeah. I don't think any little machines have full-size ATX motherboards. They'd have micro ATX at biggest. Anyway, we have the Sing Sing Universe Ultranium Mega Plus Plus. Flipsy Fold. Flipsy Fold. 2020. Oh yeah, there was FE. I know Samsung did Fans Edition. Oh, how about only Fans Edition? I mean, nah, that's an actual website. I'm not sure I'd get away with putting that, but Fun, yes, Fun's Edition. Totally not a whip-off. Fun's Edition. What? Now, I think I need to have some Apple naming logic in there. So it's going to have Pro in at some point. I know Apple does put Pro in some of the products. I think we had Pro XL or something, or XS. I don't know. It was something like that. How about XXL, which is even bigger than XL in terms of clothing sizes? Flipsy Fold 2020 Fun's Edition Pro XXL. No. Yeah. I was going to put internet version, but then I kind of must have hit the up arrow or something. Well, I've got Fun's Edition. How about internet version? Yes. Just to stop it getting too repetitive, because you know it is a very long name. Internet version. Now, I know 500 or 512 gigabytes are like legitimate storage. My Galaxy has 512 gigabytes because I also got more RAM that way as well. It's the 512 gigabyte version has 16 gigabytes of RAM as opposed to 12. Yes. And it's quite rare as well compared to the other like 128 gigabyte versions, which I like. But I'm going to have some really absurd version. I mean, even 480 gigabytes is kind of common on PC SSDs. I don't know what I have here. I think I have like 120 or 128. This is nothing. Yeah, and as I say, my phone has probably 4 times that. Go figure. We have to come up with something. Oh yes, that's it. 486 gigabytes, which 486 I think was an Intel processor, but not actually a storage amount. Again, it's a reference that most people just will not understand, but if you do understand it, yes, that is quite something to have in there. So the phone is now called the SingSing Universe Ultranium Mega Plus Plus Flipsy Fold 2020 Funds Edition Pro XXL Internet version 486 gigabytes. I don't see any problem with that name whatsoever. I mean, if anything, it's one of the best names for a phone ever made. Because we just add stuff on, and more stuff on the name obviously makes a better phone. I think I should have also, he paid like some absurd amount of money. I paid $4,500 to get it early. Or, I don't know, I think it's based in Japan, so I'm going to have to bring up the like dollars to yen or whatever. Just to get an idea. Because I know dollars, like $4,500 is quite a bit, whichever region you're in. I think even in Canadian dollars it will be quite a bit. And I think Canadian dollars is just a different value, so everything is a higher number in Canada, I think. At least that's how it goes. So, anyway. Let's open up my web browser and I'll go dollars US to Japanese yen. I think you might even be able to use a calculator actually, and I don't have internet. Okay, well that's something. These phones are just weird on me like that. Still, there we go, I'm connected now. So, there's the one that comes up. How much is 4,500? I've just realised this is going to be a lot. If it actually does work, and it's not working now. I've gone off the internet again. Come on, stop this Samsung. I've got work to do. I don't have enough torment already without you disconnecting me from the internet. Okay, I've ended up on some website. It does seem to convert. So we're going to go 4,500 689,895.31 yen. You know what? I think I'm just going to keep that. Or, no, to further complicate, I'm going to go like $4,499 and like 99 cents, I think it works like. Yeah, I think that might be a bit more complicated, but I don't know. Anyway, I don't know if I have a yen symbol, so I'll add that later. It'll just save a bit of time. This phone is the most beastly beast that ever did beast, and it has, and it set me back. Oh, this is good. I've just had a brilliant idea. And it set me back what I said in yen, so just copy that. 600 and no, 89. Because it's such a complicated thing. It is translated from dollars directly, but to say like that exact amount in yen, it just comes up with a really absurdly uneven amount. Like it'll probably be about 670,000 yen, let's be honest, if it was sold there or something. Well, 690,000 yen, I guess, but it would be something more like that than just some really bizarre number. 896.28 yen imported from... Now, where would you never import a phone from? I'm just trying to think. Where has no phone kind of industry behind it whatsoever? I could say imported from China, but it's funny because if you're spending that much on a phone, you don't expect to have to import it from China. It'll probably be fake, actually, by someone trying to whip you off, let's be honest, if you did import from China. So, I'm just gonna check my YouTube. The time is running dry, but I can still abuse myself. So, yeah, there we go. And the most beastly beast that ever did beast. So, I've just forgotten what I was going to put, and it was such a brilliant idea anyway. I think, basically as like making fun of modern video games, I'm going to have the files for ChatMP3 take up over 300 gigabytes. Yeah, and it doesn't even have a graphical user interface. You literally have to speak to it and it gets half of what you ask wrong. Because it is ChatMP3 after all. So, I had to buy such a version as the files for ChatMP3 add up to over 300 gigabytes in size. I think it's just an unoptimized app though. If it doesn't even have a graphical user interface and it's taking up that much. This machine, as I say, I think it has 120 or 128 gigabytes on the SSD, and it is not a huge amount, but it's running this whole operating system and it's still got space to spare, so you know. You should be able to run any modern OS on like 128 gigabytes, even if you run out of space fairly quickly when you start adding stuff to it. A single app taking up over 300 gigabytes, the only case I could think is if it's like a very heavy game. Add up to over 300 gigabytes in size. Maybe I could have it so you have to download every conceivable language under the sun to ChatMP3. You can't just download like English or just download say English and Japanese. You have to download every single language in existence. Not that I can blame them for forcing me to download every single... Yeah, I'm just nerding out here. Every single, like, nerdy thing. Not that I can blame them for forcing me to download every single language known to man, as well as my favourite language is Wingdings. Oh yeah, that's an old Microsoft reference. download every single language known to man, as well as I've just forgotten what I was putting. Yeah, I have a bad memory. As well as a few which only exist to appease extraterrestrials. I think that's a word for like creatures from other planets that aren't human. I think exist. I put exist to appease. Maybe exist purely. What if Luke has the most useless ability ever? I'm talking about the ability to communicate in wingdings. Because is this actually... Okay, the webcam has seemed to crash, so... Can I do that? Does that fix it? I do not know. Oh, rightio then. So we're going to have to... I think if I change the format... Yeah, there we go. There we go. That's worked. So... Yeah, I just saw the webcam light had gone off, meaning it had just stopped recording. I mean, thankfully the keyboard noise will have still been here, and you will have seen what was going on the screen, so it's not the ultimate end of the world, but it's not brilliant regardless. I mean, at least the light around the webcam was doing its job, and I could just see that things aren't working right. Yes. What if he has like the most powerful phone ever and it still takes about 10 minutes to process his answer? Oh my, that would be the biggest punch in the gut for anyone who spent that much money on a phone. Yes. So we have... No! You can't stop me using this keyboard. I'm going to finish what I'm doing. Okay, so what was I doing? Every single language known to man, as well as a few which exist purely to appease extraterrestrials. Yes, so... He's like this really... AI diehard, and he won't accept that AI has flaws no matter what you tell him. Even though it's taken over 300 gigabytes, or in other words, most of his phone's storage space, he's going to still believe it's this magical future thing. Meanwhile, I'm using an old Logitech C920 because I'm too cheap to upgrade, and it still does 1080p, which is just about enough. Naturally, I found that how is my CPU doing? To be honest, it says it's using like just over 75%, but it's working and it is streaming through it, so I don't think it's doing that bad. I always knew the CPU usage was going to go up, and it's always going to be pushing the Core 2 Duo, but it's doing better than I ever expected it to do. I thought it could be stuttering horribly, but it's still got some free CPU, which I do like. Naturally, I found that it took 16 minutes and 66 seconds. Like, it's not even calculating the time properly, because that's actually just 17 minutes and 6 seconds. 16 minutes and 66 seconds. I mean, if I wanted to just insult Asians, I could make it 14 minutes and 44 seconds. Or even 44 minutes and 44 seconds. But I prefer to have 16 minutes and 66 seconds because it just doesn't make sense. Therefore it's funnier. Naturally, I found that it took 16 minutes and 66 seconds to render the result. As I say, it's some kind of AI diehard, so he, like, even when the result is just obviously doesn't make any sense, he somehow, like, believes it's the words of the gods themselves. Naturally, though, the result was to die for. Naturally, though, the result was to die for. I am going to do a video with my good keyboards, as well as just this bad set, so, you know. I actually have more good keyboards than I do bad ones. I think you might be able to see it under there. That is a Alps Black Dell AT102W from the 1990s. That is really nice. Big, solid unit. Actually, my first mechanical keyboard, and I do still like that. That's why it's not going to be in this video, besides just sitting here at the back, because it would just feel wrong using a keyboard that nice and saying it's terrible. Yes. Naturally, though, the result was to die for. So I think I'll just finish this up, and then I'll finish this kind of sentence, and then I'll change the keyboard for another terrible one, which I just have down here. Anyway. I think it needs a single quotation mark. It needs to be just so generic, though. I am the hero of this. Like, it doesn't even bother generating some fictional name, it just calls name redacted. I am the hero of this land of. I need square brackets, I think. But then, because he believes so much in this supposed AI, he's going to be like, he's actually going to just say name redacted. He's not going to make any attempt to change it and make it his own work, you know? Like, that's the only real good part of it. You can just take an image and then, like, make it your own, but he's not going to do that. He's going to just treat it as if it's the word of God himself, basically, or herself, or whatever you say, I think a god is. I mean, I don't know, I guess there's, like, male and female gods, so, depending on culture. I am the hero of this land of name redacted, and I will save thee from the evil demon lord who goes. I mean, I hate myself for writing this. It's just so awful. But at the same time, it's funny. And I will save this world from the evil demon lord who goes by the name of Name Redacted. Like, it's just a very bad piece of software. It doesn't know how to even render names. So it just calls them Name Redacted. It doesn't even call them some, like, really cliche name like Hyro for hero, which is like a very cliche hero name. I am a hero of this land of Name Redacted, and I will save the world from the evil demon lord who goes by the name of Name Redacted. I was on the edge of my imaginary seat. Of my illusionary seat. I don't know if that's even the correct word, but I'm going to put it for now. I can change it later if it turns out to have a completely different meaning to what I'm thinking. I was on the edge of my illusionary seat. as I desperately read on. And now it's no joke that AI does steal people's work. But what if it was to steal like something really badly written in the first place? I was on the edge of my illusionary seat as I desperately read on. No, wrong quotation mark. This land has been ever, yes, I've got it, ever since the troglodytes trekked in and stole our grandmothers and forced them to bake cookies against their... Well, that's slightly less cliche, but like, it's a very one-dimensional story. It's like you're just trying to make these people hate the troglodytes and they're completely irredeemable. And then naturally, he is going to believe every single word of it. I couldn't believe it. Not only did such a flawless program crash. I'm not going to have him repeat the phone name, it's just too long. And it exists when crashed. That's not how you spell crash. Not only did such a flawless program crash and force my phone to overheat. Yeah, very, very poor coding, if something like that. Did I say, oh yeah, I desperately read it. Oh, I forgot it's chat MP3. Has to be I desperately listened on. It also gave me valuable insight into the vile activities which the Demon Lord had been undertaking. Yeah, vile acts indeed, but she didn't commit them. And yeah, this keyboard is going. The webcam is still on. And here I bring up this Microsoft. If I can just see what model name it is. The other one is like a generic China thing. This does have a model name. Wired Keyboard 400. This doesn't look too bad, but I've chosen it for a very good reason. Because you can't just like type gently because there's too much key travel for that. And you also cannot type aggressively because there's not enough key travel. It's this really awkward middle ground, which is why I've chosen it as one of the worst keyboards. I mean, it does have advantages, mainly because I have a USB plug on this, but it can have a USB to PS2 converter, and it will function as a PS2 keyboard. I also have the mouse that is like matched up to this. I don't know what that is called. That feels cheap, but it's actually not a bad mouse. And this. I'm gonna have to try moving the tree because it's a bit in the way. Okay, so now I'm gonna have to deal with this for at least 30 minutes. We have into the vile activities which the Demon Lord had been undertaking. I was just thinking, oh, like, it works now. The arrow keys appeared not to be working for a moment. Like, I was sure this keyboard worked. If the arrow keys didn't work, I would have had to make use of it anyway, because that's not going to stop me. Oh no, this just feels so much better than the last keyboard, though. I will admit that much. But it's not great. As I say, I've got that mechanical one back there that is just so much better. Really nice sound as well from those out switches. Right, yeah. Let's just check for comments. Still don't think I have anything. Oh, comments are showing up finally. I really do need to get to work. I've got the timer on. Anyway, along we go. So we have I'm trying to think of what to put now. Like, I was focused with the other keyboard. I just got into that state of focus, and then now I'm not in that state of focus. I feel like he should actually detest it. Even though it seems like something Luke would do himself. Forcing grandmas to make cookies against their will. How dare they? Yes. Or why did he just go straight to the I'll kill you because she supposedly made grandmas make cookies according to Chat MP3. Which he believes to be the truth, regardless. I mean, hey, the supposed Bing AI told me to break into Hatsune Miku's house, so, you know. I don't think you can believe what they say. Because it took, like, fan fiction as fact, when fan fiction is not fact. Alright then. It also gave me valuable insight into the activities which the Demon Lord had been undertaking. To think she was that much of a... Yeah, this is so much nicer than, like, this. I mustn't press it because, like, they're both plugged in. That's wireless, that's why it might not appear as if it's plugged in. I do wish I could torment myself with this if only it actually functioned. You know, I'll probably stop this video and then that keyboard will start functioning just to spite me. And why are you doing that? Yeah, ink suits. I think that was like black suits, but I tried to be fancy with the language. To think that she was that much of a cookie addict that she'd fall to such, well, yeah, such antagonistic measures, but she's kind of the antagonist, where it's also the main character. No, ignore that. Look, why do I have to go and check my spelling and grammar? I don't even want to. I think I found this keyboard's like thing it wants me to do. It wants me to always check my spelling. I don't want to check my spelling. I'm not at that stage yet, but it wants me to, irregardless. Yeah. that she'd fall to such antagonistic acts of cruelty. I'm so scared now that I'm going to... Yeah, I said about the key travel on this, it's very awkward. I'm so scared now that I'm going to delete my browser cookies. Like, he is really invested into what ChatMP3 told her. Although it's just fiction, he believes it to be the truth. Over 300 gigabytes of data on his phone as well, like, taken up by ChatMP3. Offline version. Just double check this, and yeah. So, comments are working now, which is good. I'm so scared now that I'm going to delete... no, he's not just going to delete his browser cookies, he's going to delete all his browser cookies. I'm sure the very mention of will send Agnetha, which isn't her real name, but it's a name she goes by, a fit of desperation. But he doesn't realise she is an addict, but not to cookies, to surströmming, which is arguably a lot worse. But yeah, when she doesn't have surströmming, she gets violent. So don't let her go without surströmming, or you will regret it. Even if it does stink. The alternative is far, far worse. I'm sure the very mention of cookies will send Agnetha into a fit of desperation. Yeah, he's sure. Doesn't mean it's true though, does it now? Should I turn him into like a sniffer dog and he can sniff blood and then he like follows a trail of blood? And even funnier, if he can follow a trail of blood but it doesn't lead him to a person he's trying to follow a trail of blood to. It leads him to some random guy who cut their knee. That's me. Okay, so what was I doing? I think my tree might have run out of power. Yeah, it's not really doing anything now. The very mention of cookies. Yes, so... naturally, I found an old rag covered in blood. I'm thinking like near black blood, but he assumes it's because she's a demon and she like has black blood. But that's not actually the case. The real case is it's not actually her rag. It was just someone who cut his knee. But it's a very old rag, so hence the blood is very dry and blood gets darker when it dries on a surface. So yes, he makes completely the wrong judgment based upon the situation he encounters. Naturally, I found an old I'm thinking, like, what colour would it be? I feel like grey or white, and given it's a very old rag, it's more likely to be grey than white, even if it was once white. I found a filthy grey rag covered in dark red blood. This could only be the and because it's to do with him, his character flaws, he won't accept when he's wrong. So even when he finds out that's someone else's blood, he's gonna try and like blame the guy that tried to stop his bleeding with an old rag, instead of actually acknowledging that he was wrong. Naturally, I found a filthy grey rag covered in dark red blood. This could only be the blood of a demon. Or could it? I followed the putrid stench of betrayal. Again, he believes these things and they're not true. It's just all in his head. And he believes he's entirely correct. He doesn't know he's wrong. He won't accept it, even if he did know he was wrong. I followed the putrid stench of betrayal. I feel like this is the point at which they kind of get separated. Because they had an encounter, even though they had 2 encounters in the past. But he's just going to be led in the complete opposite direction of where he was intending to go. I followed the putrid stench of betrayal across the continent. Stopping only to warn cookie shops and old ladies, no, and elderly ladies, I think is like more specific, of their impending doom. After all, Chat MP3 wouldn't lie to him, would it now? And what do you know, despite being the hero and doing my very best to help them, they laughed me out. And this is only going to make him more insane, by the way. They laughed me out of their towns. I feel like, yeah, and Agnetha is definitely the Demon Lord. The kind of the idea is this hero, as he so is, supposedly, is a worse person than her, but she's still like the Demon Lord. But I think I should have it so no one actually believes the Demon Lord has returned. They just, like, think he's full of nonsense, and in a way he is. He believes Chat MP3 for literally everything to be the truth, even though it's not the truth. It's just a load of like vomited up language. It doesn't really make much sense. Okay. I'm being the hero and doing my very best to help them. They laughed me out of their towns. Would you believe it? I don't know if that's even the correct way to like spell it out, if that makes sense. They laughed me. They laughed me away. Implying that the Demon Lord was nothing but folklore. Now I was mad. And rightly so. I'll make them pay someday for their misdeeds against. This is why you should not make someone with like a hero complex, a main character syndrome, the hero. Yeah, and again it says, now I was mad, and rightly so. But it wasn't rightly so. I mean, obviously, when you go spouting nonsense, people aren't going to believe you. Even if it's true. Like, if they can't see the logic in it, then you're bound to be disagreed with. That's just how humanity is. They're not going to just take you at your word. At least not nowadays. Maybe back in the day, like 100 years ago or more, people were more trusting, but that's not the case anymore. Like, people learn not to trust the media because they lie so much. So, you know, we can say one thing, but it doesn't mean people are going to believe it. For such misdeeds, I think instead of, or maybe their, I don't know, theirs does work. Their misdeeds actually does work. I'll make them pay someday for their misdeeds against the hero. If they so desired to become a victim of their own cookies, then so be it. Honestly, he should have been warning the Surströmming, like, shops. Believe me, I've written the character. I know what she's addicted to. It's the cookie shops aren't in danger. The Surströmming shops, well, that's a different story. If they so desired to become a victim to their own cookies, or a victim, I don't know. I keep trying to change what works fine. A victim of their own cookies, then so be it. I don't have... Yeah, I'm not the most accurate on this keyboard. I don't have time to... bring back this. No, I don't know how to put it, but I don't have time to protect those who don't want to be protected. That line is almost heroic. But he is far from the ideal hero. Maybe that would be funny. If he just goes insane and steals cookies. Actually, I've had an idea. Because you know he believes every single thing Chat MP3 says to him. So what if it told him to steal cookies? I think that has to happen though after he's like found this guy. And he's like, he feels betrayed. Because he made the wrong decision. And he's like, fine then, I'll just ask Chat MP3 what to do. And it tells him to steal cookies. Yes. So. Eventually, after countless days of travelling, I came to he would totally just blame Agnetha though for him making the wrong decision. I came to realise that pulled a bait and switch act on me. I tell you, this is exactly why you cannot. I feel like I'm getting into the flow of this keyboard as well. Like I feel like I have to angle my hands at an odd angle, but I can just about get it working. I tell you, this is exactly why you cannot trust demons. Also, she never said to trust her. Not once did she say to trust her. He's putting pieces of information together in his head and forming one conclusion. I tell you, this is exactly why you cannot trust demons. They're only in it for themselves. Now, here's the thing. I did say Agnetha got this guitar that was supposed to be like a kazoo for the hero, but she kind of encountered the event and got the reward for such an event. But she used it to grow wings, as you do. Now, I'm thinking, to add to Luke's frustration, he's had to walk all this distance. Agnetha doesn't have to do that because she has wings, which she ironically got by singing an ABBA song. I mean, you know, it's the kind of thing, it just added up too well. I had to use it, and that's why they're eagle wings, because of the ABBA song, which she sung to gain those wings. It was a ridiculous idea she had, and it actually worked. I tell you, this is exactly why you cannot trust demons. They're only in it for themselves. I travel all this distance, and what do I find? Her decoy. A man. Whether it was just completely missing one of his legs. But like, Luke doesn't think these things through. He just thinks it was like Agnetha forcing him to do that, forcing him to lose his own legs as a decoy. But that didn't happen. Could have been written up whipped off by like a wild bear or something. And again, he just put a rag around it because it was all he could do at the time to stop the bleeding. Which is natural, really, for anybody, but Luke can't see that. He thinks, in a way, everyone's out to get him. He thinks he has like a him versus the world mentality. So, and he's called Luke, so I could make a Star Wars reference, yes. I mean, that much should be obvious. That's how he got his name. I didn't even think it through. I travel all this distance, and what do I find? Her decoy. A man who was forced to chop his own leg off just to mislead me. And again, it's untrue. He was sure he was attacked, but Maeve wasn't the one that did it. He's just making assumptions based on the fact that she's the Demon Lord. Although she didn't do anything like that. In fact, the only person who wants to harm someone is him wanting to kill Agnetha because he thinks she's a Demon Lord. Like, that's his only motive. Not because of any logical reasoning. I don't know, I'm trying to reference a Metallica song now because I think it would be funny. I don't know, something like Gonna Make Them Pay. It's actually in a song, but I can't remember what song it was. Yeah, I'll have to add that another time, I guess. Like, if I actually get the reference and it works, then all the better for it. Yeah, the camera still seems to be going. A man who was forced to chop off his own leg just to mislead me. Typical. And then naturally, he gets saved by none other than the very person who supposedly put him up to it, according to Luke. Which is just going to break him, honestly. Because he can't accept when he's wrong. It's one of his characteristics, he just can't accept when he does something and it's wrong. Typical for the Demon Lord. I'm afraid I'll have to end you. I cannot bring myself to allow a subject of the demon to live. Now he's also going to have like this kind of reasoning that he's going to like contort and twist every single thing that happens to his end. To life. No, I think it's to live. Should be. He also acquired a sword. I'm not going to say how, he just did acquire a sword. Witch-eyed. And I apparently don't have to use this keyboard anymore, but I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to use it anyway. Acquired on my way. Yes. So, just as this man was shaking in his single boot, regretting his treasonous decisions, I feel like Nathan would slide tackle him. She's not one for conventional attacks. It was apparent to him that there was nowhere to run, and anywhere he tried to hide, he'd be easily found. Now Luke is really trying to sound like a demon lord, it seems. Yes, so naturally we have the third encounter lined up. I think, you know, she is addicted to surströmming, as I say, so I think Luke should just, like, freeze as he smells this absolutely putrid smell. Because, again, he thinks she's some kind of cookie thief. He doesn't know that her addiction lies elsewhere. Okay. How many words have I got now, I wonder? Oh, I just made 20,000 words. Well, that's something to celebrate. I think the last time I worked on this one on like 19,200, so if I can get 20,200 then I've done 1,000 words, which isn't too bad. Anywhere he tried to hide, he easily found it. So, it was then that a detestable stench assaulted my poor nostrils. A stench which somehow appeared familiar, because remember, they did go to the same school, so yeah, he had to deal with her surströmming addiction then, in the same way he does now. Anyway, alas, we must write in his his fall, but he's not going to admit that he was defeated. Then before I catch my bearings, the insane. In a way, he's already having a tantrum right now, and he's only just being attacked. She did slide tackle him, but it's like he's not going to admit that she has any kind of skill. Because this is his perspective, we have to remember. Kicked me to the ground and repetitively stomped on my foot. At this point, he is just making it up. But you see, he's lying. I'll make that clear as well. Like, on her side of the story, which comes first, you'll get a more accurate account of events. On his side of the story, he's trying to constantly make himself look better and fuel his own ego. Okay, so I'm repetitively stomped, I don't know. I could even have, like, his story quickly falls apart when you read into it. Like, he doesn't even say what thought. It's just like he made it up on the spot. And before I could catch my bearings... And there's a cat. Rightio. Take this, loser. She... Yes, take this, loser, she chanted as she repetitively kicked my heroic butt. Because it obviously is a heroic butt, he has to emphasise that. The best kind of butt. And again, he is just making this up. Return to the demon. Well, my loyal subject. Return to the demon, well, my loyal subject. She yelled towards the man as he grew a new... Like, if he wasn't lying before, he's lying now. People don't just regrow legs like that. But if he did, it's convenient for his story. She commanded. She commanded that. the man spontaneously growing a new leg. Because that totally happens. You'll never get away with this. Can you not see I'm the hero? Yes, he coughs up blood, but he doesn't just cough up blood, he coughs up blood heroically, because he does everything heroically. And now this is kind of where the truth gets mixed in. You know, it's like... The thing is, she does say, like, shut your trap, I've just about had it with you, but she's like... It's because he murders people without a thought, and he just cuts that part of a sentence out because it's inconvenient to his own story. He has to look like this amazing hero in his head. He can't accept that he's not perfect. Because pretty much no one's perfect, but he can't accept that that's the case. Arrogant. Agnetha said arrogantly. Spitting on me. That didn't ever happen, but, you know, he's trying to make her look bad. The irony is, though, he still makes himself just look really weak. Unintentionally, but he does. Even with him changing the facts of the matter, it doesn't change the fact he's weak. So I think I just need to finish off this. Oh no, maybe I should have him find where Matsune Hiku is hiding. And oh no, you do not want him finding you do not want him finding Matsune Hiku. That is a disaster waiting to happen. Not that he will confess to it, but you know, he is crazy. Basically a stalker at that point. At that point, I realised it was... I had to get out of here. So I ran. Now, he does admit that he didn't have a gun, and that he should have. That's probably one time when he will admit he was wrong, that he didn't have anything to defend himself with. I realised that with no gun, I was hopeless against this overpowered foe. Oni, and also Gnatha's companion, he has the ability to just spawn chairs, which is a lot more useful than you would ever believe in, like, taking down her opposition. Like, he can just spawn a chair out of nothingness. That's his special ability. And I am going to take use of that. This overpowered foe. Only two. 1 into. I think I can make a Star Wars reference here and make it work. Hiku, I have found you. And again, he's going to say something that makes him sound really like the Demon Lord, which he supposedly isn't. Hiku, I finally found you. Join me and to... and join me, and together we'll rule the kingdom. And he says like father and daughter, even though Hiku is older than him. Yeah, how little he knows. But Hiku is older than Luke. Yeah, she talks like that, totally. And no, not Haiku. Stop writing Haiku. And why is it not typing? Oh, it's a terrible keyboard. There. Also, I think that needs to be a capital. And I keep pressing the 0 instead of the arrow key. I will have to change this keyboard out though. Oh no, I have a disaster next. Worse than this one. I can just see it now. And I wish I couldn't see it now. Like, this at least has working feet on the back. That one does not. But Hiku is older than Luke. Spitefully. She said spitefully. Obviously it would be, because no one is as perfect as Luke in his head. I think there's a cow there. She said spitefully. proposes with a rock, of all things. It matters not, my love. For I am the only suited to you. I said as I with a precious smooth rock. That is, yes, that is his thing that he proposes with, a smooth rock. I said upon my knees. Oh, and he just made himself vulnerable considering who he's up against. Now it's on turn. It was then that I took a hard knock to my with. I think Luke should just call him Chairboy. He has a name, but like he never bothered to remember it. It was then that I took a hard knock to my head with what felt like a large wooden object. It would be Chairboy. I didn't care. Having seen Hiku was there we go. Having seen Hiku was enough to make my heart flutter, naturally. And yes, I'm going to use a keyboard that feels like it was deep fried. Yeah, there you go, it's even slipping out my hands. Yeah, as I say, there's no feet on this. Well, there's kind of these felt ones I put on the back, but you get the idea. Oh, that's not a nice noise. For my ears. And naturally, I have saved another bonus for this time. The Vigeland mouse. That actually goes with the keyboard. I have a better keyboard, actually, the same one as this, but like not in awful condition. I mean, that wouldn't make it into this video though. Like, this is just... It's not a bad feeling board, but the keycaps are just so worn down and like they've gone glossy because they've just been so battered. Like, literally, they feel battered. As if someone's put them in a deep fat fryer. And it's also missing the F6 key, which isn't the biggest deal. I can still use it. Now, time to abuse myself for 30 more minutes. Maybe a bit longer, I don't know. Just check me YouTube. Yeah, okay. I have checked the comments now, so I feel better. still, I could never... Oh, I can actually get some speed up on this thing. It's garbage, but I can get some speed up on it. Still, I could never forgive this. Still, I could never forgive this detestable demon for the misdeeds that she had carried out. Yeah, it sounds horrible. Sounds as horrible as it feels. But man, is this better for key travel than any of the others I've used today. In a way, it feels just so much nicer. The thing is, the wheel floor, as I say, it feels like it's been in a deep fat fryer. And I have tried cleaning it. But it's just how worn out it is. It feels bad because of that. And I've got cats jumping around. Now, I feel like I should maybe go back. I have more to write. Actually, I can bold that because it's kind of a heading, so there we go. Alas, I was concerned at first, yet I myself troubled by the fact that Luke hadn't tried to for like here we go though, like I think this is how to use it for good effect, because Naeva doesn't know what was happening with the cookies and everything. She just thinks this is a bit odd. He hasn't tried to pull anything for 2 weeks now. What could be going on? And she's just confused. Because as we find out later, we find out what Luke has been doing. With some amount of truth, but yeah, this mouse is better than the HP one as well, I'll say that much. The mouse is pretty good, I mean, yeah, it's obviously got some wear, but it's nowhere near as bad as the keyboard. And mind you, I don't mind using this as much as I thought I would. Perhaps it's got this weird sense of nostalgia because I used to use awful keyboards at school. Like, ones like this that were once pretty good keyboards, but have just been... they've been out far longer than they should have been. Anyway, I do also have a membrane keyboard in my like good keyboards collection, which is not around me at the moment, so I can't show it, but I'm going to be using that. It's a Dell from 2001, so about predates this by 10 years. But it's not completely battered and abused in the same way. It's still a fairly healthy keyboard. I'm guessing someone just didn't use the PC all that much. And this, although it's a newer keyboard, has suffered a lot more. It's been completely abused. Alas, I was concerned. Okay, the way I worded this, I think I need a comma somewhere. Okay, alas, I was concerned at first that Luke would attempt another surprise attack on us. Yet I found myself troubled by the fact that Luke hadn't tried to pull anything for a... Okay. I think I can get this working yet. Yet after some time, I found myself troubled by the fact Luke hadn't tried to pull anything. And then I can have a comma. I can just get rid of... I can get rid of this and like rewrite it, but better. Ooh, is my old PC lagging? It had been... I not heard anything from him. Like, here's the thing, Agnetha thinks he's scheming, but he's not. He's just believing every word ChatMP3 told him as being the truth. It is not the truth. Not in the slightest. Anyway, it had been 2 weeks now and I'd not heard anything from him. I could only fear that he had a grand master plan to put me in my place, as he'd have it. I mean, you start to see as well here, like, she's a lot more realistic about her expectations. She's not like, I'm perfect and nobody can be better than me at any cost. Luke is like that. And it's why she didn't give out a real name as well. She understands the risks involved with these things. And I think even the guy that's with her called himself the Crazer. Like, I thought of changing that name, but to be honest, it sounds like a name that a 10-year-old would come up with that sounds cool to him. So I like it because it seems like a fake name, and it probably is a fake name. Like, that's the story I'm going with as to why it has such a ridiculous name. Because it seems like to a kid it would be cool to have that kind of name. Even though in reality, no one's going to really call a kid that. I mean, hey, I could be wrong. There probably is someone out there with that name. I don't think I'll ever come across them, though. I'm going to check the chat and find out someone has that name. I mean, it would be kind of amusing. Okay, as they say, curiosity killed the cat, yet much like the cat, I found I couldn't forego such curiosity any longer. How many words have I got now, I wonder? So it was just over 20k, and yeah, 2364. I've got a few now there. I've done over 1,000 since I was last working on this, which I'm quite happy with. I had to take my team out to find what was, and as I say, it's like she wasn't trying to save this man, it was a coincidence and everything lined up. And here's where we're gonna get, like, see what Luke is lying about, because as I say, she tells more of the truth than he does. He's just out to save his own ego. Like, Anatha isn't perfect, but she can at least admit when she's wrong. Something Luke is unable to do so. I had to take my team out to find what was going on. Don't know, I feel like there's a better word than team. Not partners, I think. I don't know, comrades, because I can't think of any better words. To find out what was going on with Luke. And when I found him, and as I found him, I couldn't believe what I saw. This supposed hero was drawing his sword on what appeared to be an innocent civilian, and one who was now here's the thing, Anatha, like, he hasn't just been on a killing spree. He hasn't just been on a killing spree, but she assumes all the time he's gone, he's just completely lost it and started killing anyone he sees. Because she doesn't know he's been, like, following a blood trail like a sniffer dog. She doesn't know that. To be honest, she probably didn't even know the rag was there when they last met. So, because so much chaotic stuff was going on, she's probably just trying to sort out her own, really, and somewhat protect them from this psychopath. And as I say, the more she sees him, the more she sees him as a psychopath. I guess it's just inconvenient for Luke, but that's how it always plays out. He hasn't been on a killing spree. She just perceives that to be the case, based on what has historically happened. This I couldn't allow. Not in front of Hiku. I mean, the thing also is, she feels more mature than the other two. And she feels like she has to protect Hiku. And in turn, that actually makes her a better person than she was before. Because she is not like a brilliant person or anything, but she feels like Hiku needs protecting. So she does that. No less, the guy she's protecting him from, can you blame her? Because he had like all his walls plastered with Miku posters, or Hiku posters in this lore. I guess you could argue at the same time that she summoned Hiku to this world, so she kind of is the parent, in a way. At least I couldn't allow, not in front of Hiku. And so I did what any reasonable person would do, and slide tackled Luke to the ground. Decided not to write the D. I'm sure I pressed it. I don't know, maybe I used some mechanical keyboards where you don't have to press it all the way down. And slid tackled. No, I'm pretty sure they're called slide tackles in football. Or, I don't know, I guess soccer. It's American. I need to find the line though. So where is it? Yeah, she never said return to the demon well, my loyal subjects. That was made up, but the one line that's true, I want to like take and elaborate on it for her part of the story. Because when you take anything out of context, the meaning can change. And that's exactly what Luke did. I was enraged that the guy who was supposedly this world's hero would fall so far as to become nothing past a faceless murderer. And like, again, it makes sense why she talks in such an aggressive way to him when you put it into perspective. But taking it out of that perspective and playing with the words for your own ends, you can make it seem like something completely different. And I feel like he should insult her back. But again, leave that out of his side of the story because he's very egotistical. He doesn't want to admit that he's not perfect. Like you're any better. You hired this man to deceive me. And again, like, you could go to when Luke writes his side of the story, he leaves this out because he realises in a way that it makes him look stupid when he like finds out that it's not what he thought. So he just pretends it didn't happen. Luke snapped back with a vengeful sense of pride. Like you're any better, you hired this man to deceive me and further your own ends. But again, it's like vengeful spite. No, vengeful sense of pride, that was it. He's too vengeful for his own good. Like, he doesn't know the reality of what he's saying. He just treats it as the truth because, well, nothing he would think, or say, or do would ever be wrong. That's his perspective, at least. Ah, I can't unlock my phone, apparently. I ain't good with that. And yes, so I was desperately in a way, I feel like you should read Luke's side of a story first and then like go back, but I'm not so sure that would work. Like, it does a good job of filling in information. It does a good job of, like, showing who he really is. He's willing to lie if it makes himself look better. Again, very egotistical. He cares about how he looks above all else. Even if it means stretching the truth and just outright lying. I was desperately trying to I could have, like, he's looking for the golden kazoo. I think I'll have to add that later on. But, like, this magical golden kazoo item, but it doesn't actually exist because like, Nathan encountered the event first and got basically the same power but in a guitar form. Because, you know, it's an instrument that, like, grants your every wish. And in this weird twist of events, it's better giving that to the Demon Lord than to the hero who knows how he would misuse it. I was desperately trying to understand what Luke was going on about. Was he this deluded that he believed anybody with an alternative perspective to his own was some kind of war, some kind of barbaric demon. Yeah, so then, like, naturally he would assume Ignatha's lying. I mean, this is one of the things he does actually that's maybe not so unreasonable because, you know, you don't have to trust every word everyone says. In fact, you probably shouldn't. I'm afraid... Yes, I'm afraid that I've never seen this man before in my life. As a matter of fact, you and before I did again, he doesn't believe that though. I said hoping to clear up any misunderstanding. It wouldn't. There we go. Corrected it. I do think I'll have to finish off soon. I mean, I'll probably try and finish with what I'm doing here with the... what's it? Mathers' perspective of such an event. And I mean, her story is going to go on a bit longer because naturally, as we saw in Luke's part, he got knocked out. So he doesn't remember what was going on after such a fact. What bizarre insult can I come up with? You treasonous Twinkie! Yes. Don't think we have Twinkies in the UK, but treasonous Twinkie just works too well. You treasonous Twinkie. He cried. Tears which were moist yet waxy and it was the world's most bizarre battle of wits, and this civilian was now the according to Luke, Eva tells him to go back to the demon realm, but that doesn't happen. She just says, get out of here, it's for your own good or something. I'm just seeing that Luke is in some kind of crazed rampage and he can't see any logic in it. No, you can't stop me writing. Okay. The world's most bizarre battle of wits, and this civilian was caught up in the middle of it. Needless to say, I had to Needless to say, I had to tell him to leave the scene. Yeah, look service, no place for someone like you. If you hang around, you're bound to lose a second leg, which is again different entirely from what Luke claims, which is she told him to go back to the Demon Realm because obviously he's a servant, the man who she's never seen before in her life. Okay. How many words have I got at this point? Oh, 2644, that's not too bad. I mean, yeah. So I do want to get this out, but naturally there's a lot of editing to do and stuff. He naturally started to leave. I can only imagine how it must feel to be assaulted by some guy with a hero complex. Right deal then. Let's see how much data have I got. Oh, the CPU is hitting 80%, but it's okay. I mean, again, honestly, I don't know where I'm supposed to be either. Here I am. I don't know, it's like I've gone backwards. I am lost. Yeah, I think I've lost some work. Well, that stinks. Unless I wrote it on like a different box. No. Oh, well, that's terrible. Why it's making a load of dots, I do not understand. Like, what's going on here? I don't remember typing that many dots. Right, I'll probably have to rewrite this, but I'm going to have to leave the stream here for now because, well, stuff has happened. I probably should have used good keyboards. My hands are probably not going to like me tomorrow. Anyway, going to leave it here. And I'll say goodbye until